Can you hear it now?
And a cultural center.
Yeah, it's gone because she's one.
For the living traditions based on Chennai.
Can you hear it?
Here we work with a wide array
Hello guys, sorry for interrupting. I think we can pause the video for just a second and share the computer audio. I think it'll be better.
Yeah, so sorry, 1 second.
have curated an exhibition The Other Side of Life. Here we explore the narratives and vocabularies surrounding death. We started our work way back in December 2020. After much thought and discussions, we choose to talk about death and the taboo surrounding it, and break it down and look beyond the veil of the hush hush. We wanted to have conversations about death while still acknowledging the emotions. We wanted to see if we can dwell in further. We came up with a handful of perspectives, but more on that later. We inaugurated the exhibition on April 3rd, 2021, when the world was significantly different. We now find ourselves in a dystopian reality death with all its might and fury. As every day brings a new reality, we ask, what is macabre? The current scenario or death itself? Helping us in signing is Kavya Srinivasan. She is a social artist, playwright, and a storyteller. She has been working in the disability sector for the last 3 years and is passionate about the intersection of art and accessibility. We encourage you to ask questions. Keep posting them on the chat, and we would pick them up at the end of the walkthrough.
Hamsa, the soul. This painting represents the journey of a soul. A soul's ultimate destiny is merging with the universal spirit. Hamsa, the swan, is referred to as the metaphor for soul or the Atman. In many Upanishads, Water is the source of life. Hamsa, in its many manifestations, strives towards the ultimate freedom, maneuvering its way through this tree of life, and the fruits of karma it has to offer. The painting was made by Rayana Giridhar Gaud in 2015. It was titled as Monsoon Season. And is part of the Dakshina Chitra collection. Face, soul. Light and darkness, or life and death, are essential phases of a soul's journey spanning from the inanimate to the animate world, till it merges with the infinite. As the crow acts as a vehicle of Yama, the god of death, or as Saturn, the god of experience, on one end, the soul works its way to Mother Goddess, experiencing the fruits of its karma. Lion, the vehicle of Goddess Durga, devours life to balance this equation of the soul. The cycle of life and death is broken when the ultimate union happens. This painting is done by artist Veera Santanam, and this is also from Dakshina Chitra's collection. Puri Jagannath, Balabhadra, and Subhadra. Naba Kalebara ritual depicting cycle of life and death. Naba Kalebara is a combination of two Odia words. Naba means new and Kalebara means body. It's translated as the change of one's physical form. It is a symbolic recreation of the wooden forms of three Hindu deities: Jagannath, Balabhadra, Subhadra. Essence of the Bhagavad Gita in this ritual is that Kalebara or body is Agamapayi, or that which manifests and vanishes. Body gets created and destroyed. But soul is indestructible. When worshipped in this world as Devata, Sri Jagannath as an idol is also Dehi, or holder of a body. So he also sheds off his worn out body to take up a new one. This ritual is a practical demonstration of this theory depicted in the Gita. It reminds us not to fear death, but accept it with the knowledge to perceive the deathless Almighty. This explanation was derived from the paper named Nabakalebara Rituals, a spiritual analysis written by Asit Mohanty. The Patachitra painting was done by Akash Maharana in 2015. Two sides of the same coin. These masks floating in space and spinning around imply the idea of death and life as two sides of the same coin of a soul's journey. On top, we have Kali. Mahakali means the great manifester of time. Kali is the origin of space-time. She is also the annihilator of space-time. Here, we have the creative and destructive modes of her in orange and black, as forces that balance the universe. That one implies the other. Sun and moon representing the opposite energies of Ha and Ta also reiterate the idea that day and night, light and darkness are woven into the fabric of existence. Duality is the very foundation of existence. Below, we see the face of death itself being depicted as the fruit of life. Sitting at the center of the lotus of life, she seems to say, hey, I'm just a door to another plane of reality. These masks were made by Sashikanta Maharana, the Kali masks. Sun and moon were made by the mother of Sashikant. Based on my creative inputs. The death phase was done by a previous intern. And the lotus base was done by Sailesh sir. We have other masks of Krishna Kali and Ardhanarishvara. to elucidate the idea of duality of life. Thank you.
My installation is looking at life on this planet. Any organism does two things. They eat and they procreate. And at both of these instances, there is death. When one organism eats another, be it a plant or an animal, and to procreate means there is short of something dies. So death is all pervasive and it is incidental to life. If you look at twigs that fall off from a tree, they cover the ground and they create an ecosystem for the mushrooms and ants and others to survive. So, at what instance is there a death? I try to ask these questions through my installation and the lines, the threads at every instant. Where it ends shows death. So are the gaps in the weave death, or are they or are they incidental to the weave? Thank you.
Hello. My first installation is titled Soul. A soul is the purest form of a living being. It is said in Shiva Puranam that a soul takes different births paths, and bodies before it reaches the ultimate. When a birth is incomplete, the soul takes an other form. And this cycle keeps going on and on until it's broken one day. In this installation, the birth is represented through the broken pieces of acrylic sheets. And the water is visualized as the soul itself. The mirror in this installation is to pose a question of whether the current form of the human being is complete or is it going to take another birth? It, it is an interactive piece where the person gets to see the flow of water flowing through the broken glass pieces. My second installation is a Bhuta cult. Bhuta Kola is a spirit cult of Dakshina Kannada or southern Karnataka. The spirits can be of totemistic origin, from the Hindu pantheon of worship, heroes who met with a tragic death, ferocious spirit, or the serpent spirit. The first gesture of calling the spirit in the Bhuta performance is when the impersonator grabs the anklets from the deity and starts frantically dancing with them. As the performance unfolds, the impersonator completely embodies the spirit and grants people their wishes and fulfills them. In this installation, the anklets signify calling of the spirit to the earth, and the Bhuta mask is a Panjurali mask which is the boar mask. The wooden sculptures are from Mekkekattu,
a craft of the Bhuta cult. Now leaving you with a question. Would you engage with the spirit? And what would you ask them? Thank you.
గ్రామదేవత బలబలికవత్తుల సీతదేవత వయోత్వత్తుల ముమ్మైన సిద్ధకుంతుల అయ్యలగాడిక భక్తవత్తుల మూలనాగదేవన సారథికత్తుల ಅಂಚನೆ ನನ್ನಿಂದ ಕುಟುಂಬದ ಅಂತರಗಳ ಭಕ್ತಿಗಳ ಆಕಾಶಗಳ ಏರುಗಟ್ಟಿಯಬಿಟ್ಟು ಗಂಟಲ ಕತ್ತಿನ ಅಪ್ಪಗತ್ತಿನ ಬಾಲಮಿಟ್ಟು ಗೋಪಗತ್ತಿನ ಸುತ್ತರಿಸಿದ ಸಂತೋಷಗಳ ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣ ನೇಮುನದೆತೊಂದು ಐತಕುಲೊಂದು ಪೂಳನದೆತೊಂದು ಹಣಿನ ಕಟ್ಟೊಂದು ಮಣಿನ ಪತೊಂದು ನಾ ಗೊಡ್ಯಾನ ನೊಡುಕೆ ರಾವೊಂದು ಗರೆ ಕಟ್ಟೊಂದು ಗಡ್ಸಲೆ ಪತೊಂದು ಮನಸ್ಸು ಡೊಂಜಂಜಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆನ್ನೊಂದು ಮೂಡಾಯ್ ಪಟ್ಟಾಯ್ ಪಡ್ಕಾಯ್ ತೆನ್ಕಾಯ್ ಮುಕ್ಕರು ಮೂಜಿ ಗಲಿಗೆ ಗಜತೊಂದು ಅವೇನು ಕೊರದು ತೋಜಾ ಬತ್ತ ನಿನ್ನ ಮಾಯೇ 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 ಸುತ್ತ ನಾಲು ಮೇಟಿಯೇ ಸಂಧಿ ಅಬ್ಬಗದಾರಿಗೆ ಪರ್ಲುಜುವಾದಿ ಬಿಲಿಚಾಮುಂಡಿ ಸಿರಿಣಾ ಸಂಧಿ ಪೂರಪನೊಂದು ಕಬ್ಬಿನ ಕ್ಲಿಗೆ ಇಂಪುನು ಕುರಿತು ಸುಳ್ಳು ಸೋಪಾದ ಸತ್ಯಗೆಂದಾದ ಅಧರ್ಮ ತೊರ್ತದ ಧರ್ಮ ನುರಿಪಾದ ಜನಮುದೆ ನಡು ಮೈಮೆ ಮೆರಿಪಾದ ಬಕ್ಕರ ಧೈರ್ಯ ಸಾಧಿ ತುಷ್ಪಾದ ಸೂರ್ಯ ಚಂದ್ರೆ ಇಪ್ಪು ನೆಟ್ಟಲ ಕುಡಿಸಾ ನೊರಡು ಈ ನೆಲೆಯಾಲ ಭಯಭಕ್ತಿದುಂಡು ನಿಕ್ಕದೆ ಈ ಕೋಲ ವಾಪುರ್ಲುಯ 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 ಕೆನ್ನಗ ಪಡನ ನಿನ್ನ ಆನಲಿಕೆನ ತಾಸೆ ತೆಂಬೆರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡು ವಾದ್ಯೋದ ಸಬ್ದೋನ Vaporluya, Vaporluya, Vaporluya. ಪನ್ಪುನಾಂಡ ಪುಲ್ಯ ನೆಟ್ಟ ಉಂಡು ಕಡಲರ್ದ ಘಟ್ಟದ ಮೂಟ ಪನ್ಪುನಾಂಡ ಪುಲ್ಯ ನೆಟ್ಟ ಉಂಡು ಕಡಲರ್ದ ಘಟ್ಟದ ಮೂಟ ಕಥೆನ ದಿನವೆಥೆನ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕದ ಸಂಗತಿನ ಒವ್ವುಂದು ಪನ್ಪುನ ಜನಮನಸ್ಸು ಮರ್ಲೋನ ತಾಸೆ ತೆಂಬೆರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡು ನಿನ್ನ ನಲಿಕೆದ ಪುರ್ಲೋನ
death rituals. The exhibit was visualized and organized to show to the people the diversity, variety, and also the unifying factors that underlie humanity's coping mechanisms with death. It was meant to give hope and add color to the otherwise blackness and darkness associated with death. The first exhibit, Crow and Pindam. Crow and Pindam. The exhibit hopes to represent the Pinda Pitra Yajna, a widespread Indian ritual mentioned in the scriptures that is to pray, provide, and to remember the dead ancestors of a household. The second exhibit performs dual roles. It indicates and signifies Lord Yama as the god of the dead and secondly, when viewed with the adjoining mirror exhibit with the poem, it stands to talk about how we humans have usurped his role of killing by adorning his mask. It makes us question our role in the destruction of the planet and the environment around us. The third exhibit, Asti, focusing on another widespread ritual of mixing and unifying the ashes of a dead person in a holy water body. This exhibit seeks to throw light on the aspect of holiness and divinity given to a water body, while pondering on the tempting result that is said to await the action. Which is liberation of the dead or attainment of moksha. Symmetry of death rituals. The credits to this beautiful clay sculpture goes to Miss Raghavi. She has not only captured my ideas perfectly, but has also synchronized her ingenuity with it. The sculpture aims to show the evolution and the different forms the rituals related to death have taken, beginning from the time when nature and trees were considered to house ancestral spirits, right to the modern cults of Ayyanar, Draupadi Amman, and snake worship. The sculpture has it all. We pose another important question. Have we come to a point where all these rituals have been mechanized? Because of the loss of their original meaning and intent? It is a question that the visitor may ponder upon. The photographs. No macabre questions. I repeat, no macabre questions. And perspectives on death. But to exhibit and remind visitors that there is another side to death. It brings relief. It is sometimes a gateway to liberation. It is even celebrated at times. When the person who is dead has been considered to have lived a full life. Or as we Tamilians call it, a Kalyana Sav. It hopes to throw light on the unity and diversity of beliefs held by various communities, cultures, and sects when it comes to death. This part of the exhibit helps visitors ask questions of rituals in the past, present, and future. Like, did the megalithic ancestors believe in an afterlife? For them to place their dead with precious materials? Or why do we place a 1 rupee coin on the dead? Hoping it opens up many more questions. Thank you.
Hi, I'm going to be talking about my installations. I have 3. So, science is a tool, a method, especially modern medicine. Its approach to living things is built on philosophy, the natural sciences, alchemy, and mathematics, the stuff of magic. Yet today, modern medicine treats the physical body as a machine to be studied, documented, taken apart, and mended, just as one would do with a car or a ship or an airplane. In many ways, this approach allows for swift and effective care. When a person is on the brink of life and death. But sometimes it can affect an otherwise perfectly functioning body in adverse ways. Through my installations, I explore how science treats life and death, the good, the bad, and the shades of gray. My first installation is called Are You a Person or a Thing? Where is life here? It's a series of partial and full portraits of different people captured as if in the midst of various medical testing processes. This piece addresses the extent to which science and modern medicine intervenes within our bodies. To check its health, dealing only with the physical shell. My second installation is called the meat shop. The commoditization of the body and its constituent parts is part and parcel of today's idea of life-saving procedures. Science looks at the whole body through its parts. Determining the health of the organs and relating it to the overall health of the whole. In the age of artificial intelligence and machines, what are we? My third installation is called The Void. The point at which science dabbles with the cyclical nature of life and death, and thus brushes the realm of philosophy. Can be seen as a space or void that allows one to get lost or be found. In the silence of the void, does the body lose life or gain life? What form does the life take? What form is the soul and what form is its shell? How can we know this? Can science tell us when life begins in a body and when it ends? Where does life go? All three installations were custom made by hand over a period of 15 days. And I would like to thank all of those who helped me do it. Thank you.
This installation is called the Wardrobe of Memories. When someone passes away, their memories stay with us forever. And for some people, these material memories become really important, as it makes them feel that their loved ones are still around them. And a lot of people wish to preserve these memories for as long as possible. The objects that you see in all three shelves of this wardrobe are from Dakshin Chatra's museum collection. However, the walking stick and the umbrella that you see on the right door of this wardrobe as well as two personal diaries in the left drawer of this wardrobe belongs to Raghavi's grandfather, who is also one of the interns at Dakshin Chatra. Were given to us by Raghavi's mother. And over the years, they were safely preserved by her. Thank you very much.
This installation is called Diameter of Nihility, and its analogues. Death is considered a full stop, a frozen clock, thrown away objects, discarded muck on a burning pyre, all done with their intended purpose, all dead, until a sapling grows out of the burnt muck. Death is a full stop. But aren't all full stops a circle? Our understanding and feelings around death have been painted with layers of misinterpreted traditions, primitive instincts, most of which are now obsolete, like fear of dark and fear of unknown. Thanatophobia, which is spelled Thanatophobia, fear of death, is coded in our genes. This DNA tries to decode the misconstrued connotations and fear from our genes and recode it with ambiguity of death, leaving it out to the personal interpretation. This installation is a mixed media work made with palm leaves, textile, cow dung, and found objects. It contains visual vocabularies from South Indian practices around death. The padai, made from palm leaves, the carrier of the dead, here it carries the concept of death itself. Kodituni or cloth gifted by dead's maternal house in which the dead is buried. Varati Varati, the found objects coated with cow dung from Kailangadai or thrift shops, which people threw away. All round in shape, resembling a full stop. But here, they have found a new meaning in this exhibit, becoming a circle. Kolam, integral part of South Indian life and death exploration for centuries. All these elements form a DNA which leaves you to recode it with your own interpretation of death. Death is a full stop. But aren't all full stops a circle? Thank you. This exhibit is called Origami, Omens, and Oracles. Gauli Pattana Shastra says a lizard falling on head signifies death. What is the celebrity death has to do with the inflation in milk price. Crows, lizards, black cats are common omens of South Indian prophecies, oracles around death. Are news and media the new age omens convoluting the narrative of popular death? To their benefit? Thank you. This exhibit is called Memoriam. An important element of death is how people are remembered. In Tamil Nadu, Malar Anjali shrines are constructed on roadsides along with Ninaivu Anjali posters as homage when a loud public or private figure passes away. It is a personal connection that people act on. A special relationship with a person they may have never met. Thank you.
This section is called the Wall of Memories. Some of these photographs that you see on display were submitted to us through an open call that we had organized. People have submitted pictures of their loved ones who are no longer with them. This was done to give people a platform to share the memories of their loved ones that they have lost. And a way to celebrate and honor the life of these people. Most of these pictures have been submitted to us through open call. Some of them also were given to us by the staff of Dakshin Chitra. The two pictures that you see in the middle row of Velamina and Vijaya Ben are from the collection of Citizen Archive of India. Thank you.
As a child, my reading a newspaper habit has always started with the obituary section. I don't know why, but the small remembrance wishes made me wonder how they lived their life. How would my life be? What would my photograph be on a remembrance section? So my installation, a remembrance self-portrait, where every person can come and look into the mirror and take a selfie to note their first expression, to know how they live their life. Just in case, if it was a sad expression, there is always a chance that they could make it happier. The mirror on the yellow postcard is fixed because
I found the yellow postcard to be the coolest canvas for this installation. Thank you.
My series starts with a painting called All That Remains. As a therapist, I see death as a process that is in continuity. But something like a grave has a metaphysical importance to me. In this painting, I try to show the place or a grave as a place where the dead can visit their living self, and the ones who have lost them can revisit the memories. To me, death and exploring it is a process of looking at dilapidated walls, abandoned gardens, everything that reminds us of a certain nostalgia. Things that used to be, lives that were lived. So my next painting, which is titled What Died Didn't Stay Dead, talks about this custom of hanging pictures on the walls with garlands around them and a sort of a cord that it attaches with us when we look at those pictures each time. It also reminds me of a concept in therapy of energetic cords, which we form with people in our lives. And sometimes when a person moves on to another realm, the cord still exists. My painting is a celebration of that. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Roshni, and I'm going to talk about my artwork, Sounds of Afterlife. Being a kid and an adult, the movies that I've watched, the conversations, that I've had with so many people and the news that I hear about people taking their own lives. I've always wondered what made them to do that. Why did they think that death is an answer? But as an adult, now I have too many questions too. I have too many questions that I have no answer to. And it was overwhelming to me. At a point, even I thought, is death an answer? Will everything make sense? When death comes? But I refuse to believe so. Death is just end. And when that happens, I don't think it gives you any answer. I think life is just, it is what it is. And when that death happens, it's just an end. Everything becomes quiet. All these questions just fade away because it doesn't matter anymore. So my work, Sounds of Afterlife, is about that silence. Hoping that death is probably giving us silence as an answer. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Satya. About life after death, I feel like there must be definitely a life after death. But how it would be? Only when one understands everyone going to die and ready to accept the reality, the attraction towards the existing life will reduce. And if this person dies, the life after his death will be colorful and beautiful. In my work, the person sailing in his lifeboat and his existing life started fading out. I have shown the life after death very colorful and beautiful. Thank you.
Vanakkam. I'm Saumya Iyal. My works are inspired from a great Tamil literature, Tirukkural. I have been doing a visual narrative on 1330 couplets of Tirukkural. I have chosen 4 of them, which talks about death and instability. Kural 338. The Kural itself uses metaphors. Birds fly away and leave the nest deserted bare. Such is the short-lived friendship soul and body share. It beautifully talks about the relationship between the soul and the body. Kural 336. Existing yesterday, today to nothing hurled. Such greatness owns this transitory world. This world possesses the greatness that one who yesterday was is not today. Kural 339. Death is sinking into slumbers deep. Birth again is waking out of sleep. It simply says, death is like sleep, and birth is like awaking from it. Kural 340. The soul is fragile, shed as larger coats repose. Is it because no home's conclusive rest it knows? It seems as if the soul, which takes a temporary shelter in the body, had not attained a home. Thank you.
Hi, this is Manas, and I have 2 of my paintings presented in the exhibition. And initially, I'm going to talk about a painting called "To Dig a Grave." This painting is spontaneous record of an expression that I had in one evening. Which depicts me digging up graves for puppies. That died in my studio. While I managed to dig their grave and then have them in my garden one by one, there was one last puppy which survived a month more. Which was there along with me in the studio, and after 2 days of not seeing it, I found it missing, and trying to find it. I've been asking about to the neighbors, and then finally came to know that it has died like a couple of days back. And then someone else managed to throw them away in the dump or something else. I didn't know very clearly about that. So right after knowing about that, I felt very emotional that not only I wasn't able to raise them and let them survive, but I also wasn't able to dig a grave for the last puppy. And this is what the painting is completely depicted in.
My project, the video artwork, is about the current epoch, which is called the Anthropocene. Anthropocene is basically the epoch where we are in a stage just right before the mass extinction, where we are exploiting and overusing the resources. Because of our everyday actions. My project also talks about how we are leading to dystopia while our development is focusing on this utopian reality which does not exist. My artwork consists of performance and text. Both come together as a video artwork where so my artwork focuses on the relationship between humans and the environment. Most humans do not realize the difference between our want and our needs. And this leads to the overexploitation and global warming. My artwork is a warning to our apocalyptic future. I'm done. Thank you.
This is another painting by artist Manas Uday Kumar, and it's called In Despair. It revolves around losing a person and mourning for the absence of him while failing to accompany them in real life. Interplaying between the parallel world of death and separated either way, losing someone. This artwork by artist Mitra Vishweshwaran is called Common Knowledge. Death is knowledge, but not in the way that we commonly identify knowledge. Yet, death is common knowledge. It is not something we can replicate with words or recite in numbers on school benches. Death is knowledge that is deeply ingrained, like genes that simply know what to do, how to build a living, conscious, breathing form. Death is known by all living creatures and the non living too, for they are already dead. The open eye represents a startling awareness, a stark, sure spark of this knowledge of certain death. Yet there is a serenity to it, a comfort we live with and around the knowledge of death that arises from our very selves. This is another artwork by artist Mitra Vishweshwaran, and it's called The Eye Contact. This image represents looking death in the eye and therefore looking all fear in the eye. A woman looks at an eye all seeing peeping in from a window. This eye is all seeing because it has seen what happens after death, the question that time itself and all human consciousness seeks to answer. It therefore holds an understanding of the root of fear. However, the woman has no answers. She only stares on with trepidation. To face one's fear does not mean that one will receive answers. One will receive an intangible, inexplicable knowledge of themselves. Fear and death are very alive, withered, tattered, powerful parts of ourselves. One cannot know oneself until one looks their fear in the eye. This artwork is by artist Kamleshwar Mohan and it's called Varka Urvattam. The artist says that death, according to many, is an end, an abrupt end to the very life that we strive each second to experience ecstasy in this world. but one can only know what lies behind that door once we go through it. My artwork shows a perspective of death in which the energy of our life, which gets released from its shell, finds a doorway that reimburses it. But what if that door leads to another realm?
If there are any questions, we will be answering them now.
Hello. It was very interesting, all the collection. I want to know what is the process of creating all this. I mean, did they go through some? I missed some introductory remarks if there were any. What was the process this interns went through? How were these created, etc.
You are muted.
Hi, sir. I'm one of the interns of the exhibition and of Dakshin Chitra, and this we actually have a process of creating an art exhibition as part of our internship. So the process we went through was we selected this topic from a bunch of topics because we thought it has to be spoken about, especially in this current pandemic, and conversations should not be closed. And that is something that we face every day, and we are facing every day for the past 2 years, whether of beloved ones or celebrities or many more. So we thought, why not ponder upon the various narratives and vocabularies of death itself? So that is what we all the 8 of us together envision, and that's what we presented today.
It was a very brave choice for a choice of a topic and very diverse views and coming through. Interesting to see reflecting on this such a dark concept too, but very interesting when it comes through as artwork.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions?
Neha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So you had a question. Can you just let us know about which art? Like, you're talking about which artwork?
I'll just look what it was. Just 1 second. I forgot the name. I wrote it down. Yes, it was from All the Remains from artist Hemilata Mopati.
Was it Raghavi's installation?
No. The title of the painting was All That Remains from the artist Hemilata Mopati.
Okay, Hemlata, are you there? Do you want to answer that question? Okay. Okay, I think she has left.
Yeah, she's left.
Yeah, so Neha, we'll pass on the question.
Sure.
I'll type. I will give you our email ID. Can you just do me a favor? Can you just ask your question? Send us your question on that mail email ID.
Sure, I'll do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Any more questions?
I have a question for the audience, if they are still here. I am one of the interns who exhibited in this show. So we would like to know, I would like to know the feedback as to what you felt when you went through this walkthrough, and
Yes,
any feedback
please.
that you may have.
Yes, please, please.
The works came across as very, very well researched and very philosophical, also reflective in many ways. And they had taken up different strands of how you could reflect about the earth. It was very interesting. Because it was a quick rush through all the works, I'm not able to. Some of the works really appealed, and I'm not really able to go back to them. I wish to go back to them, visit them again. It was really interesting, choice of the topic and all, and the very different artists have approached. And this last section, I think, open call, that was also very interesting. And some of the artists, particularly the last performance, it was very good. Performance work. Thank you.
Anything particular that stayed with you?
What did you say? I'm sorry, Mr.
I just asked if there was anything specific that stayed with you. It doesn't matter if you don't know the name of the artwork, but if you could just something that stuck with you, some image, some explanation. And also, how do you relate to it? Because, since this is related to the pandemic and the current situation of the world and everything that people have been facing and the difficulties. So, how do you personally connect to it? This is for all of the audience to answer. And
So we have left an email ID in the chat box. So if you would write to us, or it would be great, and we take your feedback and would like to know what impact it had. Unfortunately, right after we put up the exhibition, within a week's time, we had to close it down. So people were not able to physically come and see the exhibition. So I hope this virtual walkthrough did some justice to what our efforts and what we went through. So if there are no more questions, and if we can end this virtual walkthrough. Thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Would the video of this walkthrough be available for a
Yes,
reference?
it will be soon available on YouTube. We will let you know through Instagram.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please follow us on Dakshin Chitra Heritage Museum Instagram handle. We post our daily updates on talks and many more events through that Instagram handle. So thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you so much.